What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to G-Ball Vision. Today I have for you guys an extremely exciting unboxing to dig into. Before we get started, double check and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I would love to have you here. And before you head out, hit that thumbs up button. Greatly appreciate it, guys. So I'm going to briefly take this guy off of the camera here just for keeping my information out of the view of the camera, and we'll bring it right back in. Don't worry, guys. So what we have, guys, is the very first Jack Wolf knife to be sent in by Ben and Jack Wolf Knives. Huge shout out to Ben for sending this guy in for me to take a look at. So this will be the March release. And you might be asking, well, what is the March release? Ben likes to do, he tries to do a release every single month, which is impressive. So we are dealing with the Gunslinger Jack. Look at that artwork. We got Jack the Wolf here, bandana coat, 6-shooter. Great artwork as always. And then here is a little bit of information for Jack Wolf Knives, the person responsible for the artwork, Jay Gunzart there on Instagram. You can find him over there. Great artwork, always a good job. And then we have the nice tin, which is a nice touch, a nice traditional touch. And then we have our Pog on top, and I believe, yep. And then we have the Gunslinger on the back there. Very, very cool. Love the little Pog touch. And then we have our knife, which is going to be wrapped up in some microfiber. And then we have a couple of stickers in here, which may or may not want to come out very easily. Let's see. There we go. There's one of them. And he includes 2 now, so that way you can save one and you can stick one. So that is a cool touch. And then I see that we have a little filler tab there. And that means that this guy is going to be a locking knife because it has a pocket clip on this guy. It's going to be the locking version. We have the beautiful large microfiber cloth coming in, and here we are, guys. This thing is beautiful. This is the gold matter fat carbon, I guess you want to say, and just like always, he's going to have several different models. I believe there's going to be wood, a couple carbon fibers, and then there might be one other material. I can't remember which material it is, but he's going to have a nice variety, and I believe this is the first time that he's doing a wood inlay. I could be wrong on that, but he is doing a wood inlay, and that one looks fantastic. This is right up my alley, though. We have the gold accented backspacer, gold accented titanium pocket clip, and then if you wish, you can take that guy off, put the filler tab on, and you can just have this as a pocket dropper, or you can throw it in a pouch like a traditional knife. We have a very nicely centered blade there. We have dual fullers on both sides, and we have a front flipper with some nice jimping there. I love the darker contrast that Jack Wolf does on his knives. It's not your typical bead blast. It's a very dark blasted media. And this is going to be, it's going to lock up with the frame, but the way this is designed, the inlay is going to hide most of that lock. So it's more like a bolster lock. So let's flip this guy open and see what we are working with here. This has a hand satin S90V clip point blade, and look at the grind on this thing. That is absolutely beautiful. There's something to be said for a hand satin. I just think it looks so good. Look at that. Whew. I heard a ting on the very first open there. Can we get it again? Oh, yeah. Nice little ting right off the rip, drop into the thumb, and then just a nice easy shake is going to send this guy home. Whew. I think this is probably, so I think Ben, ultimately deciding to start incorporating a locking knife in his rotation of releases was just a brilliant move. And at this point, he might be doing this. I don't know that for sure, but I think it would be awesome if 1 month he does a slip joint, and then the next month he does a locking knife, and then just kind of keeps that up, and then that gives you a ton of ability to kind of do whatever model you want to do, and keep things very, very fresh for all the consumers out there. And another brilliant move, in my opinion, some people might disagree, and I think most people would agree, though. I think going from M390 to S90V was a very good move. I prefer S90V. M390 is a good steel. There's nothing wrong with it, but I think S90V just has that little bit of edge against M390. And the S90V, in conjunction with the hollow grind and with the geometry of this blade, they are nice and thin on the blade stock, and then they come down ultra thin. So that combination is going to allow this knife to just, even when it loses its fine edge, because of that geometry and the steel choice, it is just going to continue cutting and continue cutting, and you will be, as long as you're not trying to cut thin paper or something after the fine edge is gone, this thing is just going to keep cutting. Why don't we go ahead and we'll take a look at this guy in the pocket and see what we have poking out there. There'll be just a tiny bit poking out, like a standard milled clip will be like. We have just a tiny bit there, just enough so that way you can get your thumb on there and your index finger and then pull this guy out of the pocket. Good retention on the pocket clip there. I already said perfectly centered up, and then the lockup is looking very good there, about 45% or so, and there is no up and down, and there is no side to side, so that is very, very good. The carbon fiber looks amazing. I've been kind of glancing at that here. There's no imperfections that I can see anywhere, and then when it hits the light just right, it really, really shines. The camera, just doesn't do these quite the justice that they deserve. That is some very nice looking stuff there. I'm a huge fan of this type of carbon fiber. As far as the lock bar is concerned, you have plenty of room to get in there to that line. And then he puts a nice little chamfer there. Very easy to disengage. And then that thing's going to drop to the thumb, and then a nice little shake shut. And that's impressive for such a light blade like that, to drop to the thumb and then just a little shake and to go home. They're starting to really get these knives dialed in. Not just Jack Wolf, but just a lot of companies in general. They're really starting to get things dialed in, and it's really, really nice to see. So why don't we see what kind of edge comes on this guy? And it's pretty fitting. This is the next page in the magazine. We have the case page. And why don't we see what kind of edge comes on this guy? We can also check it up against some cardboard, see how this guy goes through that as well. But I've checked out a couple Jack Wolfs at this point, and they come with a great edge. And the low drag jack that I own and still have, I have not stropped it, I have not sharpened it, and I have cut a lot with it. And through denser materials like cardboard and the like, it just continues to keep cutting. And that's what I found with S90V in general is it just likes to cut and keep on cutting. So we have just a 1-ply piece of cardboard here, and let's just see what we have here. Going against the grain. Like I said, guys, the geometry of these knives, how thin they are just going to be a fantastic everyday user. Just, you'll be able to, and they're nice and, it feels substantial in the hand for its size, but it's not real heavy. So I don't know if that makes sense. It feels substantial in the sense that, you got something here. And it feels very structural, that titanium, and then that backspacer. It just adds a lot of comfort and structure to this knife. So that way, even though it's not extremely heavy, it just feels very good in hand. So, this is not going to be your, cold steel 80-10. This isn't something you're going to baton through logs outside or anything like that. And that's not the intention of the design. This design is intended to be, just your everyday, day-to-day cutting tool, on your basic items. Let's give this thing a little wipe down. Clip point, beautiful looking. This is actually the first clip point I've ever checked out from Jack Wolf, and I believe this is the first clip point that I have in a traditional looking knife such as this. So that is very cool in itself. And then look at that look how thin that is. That is absolutely ridiculous how thin this guy comes out. And that is going to be nice and pokey. But, yeah, Ben, he's been, in my opinion, he's been ultra successful up until this point. And sticking with his schedule, I've talked with him a little bit. I had him on a live stream a little while back. And then talking with him lately, he has a extremely busy schedule. Between designing knives, dealing with all the things for the release of the knives and getting materials and all the things that are aligned with, just the artwork and the packaging and everything that is intertwined from creating the design to the unboxing experience. He is booked up. So for him to release something every single month, I think that is absolutely insane. I think it's insanely awesome that he's able to do that. You don't see, other than large production companies, Kaiser, Savivi, those types of companies, other than them, you don't see a small maker like Ben, or a small designer, releasing something as frequently as he does. You don't see it. At best, you see a small designer release something every couple of months, if you're lucky. Some of them are only like maybe twice a year. So for Ben to be doing this at the rate at which he's doing, with the quality at which he puts these things out, it's just impressive. And, I don't know if it'll get brought up in my comment section or not, but, the price tag, there's people who are going to complain no matter what. Those types of people cannot be pleased one way or the other. But for the other people, we don't complain when we see a QSP knife, OEM QSP knife for $350. We don't complain, when we see a Bestech for $350, a Riot for $350. You know, and that the quality of those knives are excellent. And that is where this falls too. You know, the OEM aside, I don't know who it is. As far as I know, nobody does. Ben don't release it. And that, you know, I've wondered who it is, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is they nail all the function of the knife, and then they nail all the aesthetics and all the things that make the knife what it is. You know, all the fine detail work, it's all taken care of. So it really don't matter who the OEM is. And I think the price for these knives are fitting, whether they're your cup of tea or not. You know, that is entirely a moot point. The point being, though, you're going to pay for premium materials and premium attention to detail. And that's what you have here, from your steel to your handle material, your inlay material. It's all top of the line stuff. It's all, you know, some of the best attention to detail, finishing work, fit and finish that you're going to get in a production knife. Everything is nailed down perfectly. And of course, there's going to be some knives that slip through the cracks, you know, where it might be off-centered or it might not be that, you know, as sharp as it should be or whatever it might be, right? But on the back end, you're going to be dealing with some of the best customer service that you can get. So there's no worry there. There's absolutely no worry about going and picking one of these knives up. You're getting premium materials, and if you ever run into anything, you have an insanely good customer service backing that up. You're going to be dealing with Ben, and he is going to take care of you. There's no doubt about it, no question about it. So, you know, if this is something that looks good to you, you know, you're going to like it. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Going back to, you know, off that tangent, going back to the opening methods here, the dual fuller works very, very well. You can thumb flick this guy, reverse flick it. The front flipper works very, very well for however, you know, you want to actuate that thing. Very good for over the top and every other which way. And then the cool thing about the way he designs these, and I believe he's left-handed, but if you are left-handed, you're not going to have any problem using this knife either. Now, it's not going to be mountable for left-hand carry, but it will be easily actuated by a left hand because you're not going to have to deal with that lock bar. Same for righties. You know, you don't have to really worry about where you're placing your hand. You have that little bit, and you know you're not going to be on top of that lock bar. In my experience with bolster locks, especially one that is this small, that's even smaller than normal for a bolster lock. So you won't have any problem opening this guy up. Yeah, definitely going to be another fantastic design from Ben. And if this is something that looks interesting to you, you can pick one up at your favorite retailer. Pretty much every retailer has picked up Jack Wolf knives at this point. But the thing is, you need to know that you want one, and you need to know where you're going to go to get one, because chances are these are going to go very, very quickly. The original run of the Gunslingers, they went extremely quickly, and there are lots of people who missed out on those who are going to be going and picking one of these up immediately. As far as the drop date and all that type of stuff, I will have that down in the description. I don't know that off the top of my head. I know it's in the middle of the month here, 15th or 16th. By the time you're seeing this, I will have it down in the description. And then you have one last chance at Urban EDC Supply, which the next Wednesday, they do a small release of them. So you do have some chances to pick one up. But if you want one, you need to jump on it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. Give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, guys, I will catch you on the next one.